where we're going. Welcome back. It's your third installment of Papa G's house. I am G. This is Patrick Davidson.
Howdy.
How you doing, brother?
No, good, man. Good to be here.
The godfather of South African metal.
Ooh.
Just kidding. I know how you hate that stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's obviously others who could also claim that kind of title.
Yes. No, but in my time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only been around since, when have I been around? Since 2014, I think. Yeah. But how are things with you, man?
No, good. Yeah.
And lots to look forward to. Lots to talk about, in fact.
Oh, man. Always.
I actually, I've been wanting to talk to you for a very, very, very long time, man. I said, when did I say I was reaching out to you? I was at Jared. Must have been. I spoke about you on Jared's, and then I said I reached out to you on Josh's episode.
Oh,
so you're here, number 3.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for making the trip.
Yeah, no, cool. Pleasure.
Yeah, and excuse me if my voice is a bit hoarse. I've spent a long day using my vocal cords, so it's a lot to get my energy back up after such a long bloody day. But I have to keep the train rolling, man.
Yeah.
Something I have to do.
Once you've made that commitment.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 3 weeks since the last video. Sorry to all 3 of you who've been asking me what's up with the podcast, but we're back. I'm a bit nervous because we've got Patrick Davidson in studio. But let's kick things off. We've got I don't know why I say Summerfest every single time. It's WinterFest.
Yeah. I have a confession to make. I do the same all the time. Especially when I'm typing like an email or something, and like I've become quite like the disciplinarian when it comes to how a thing must be worded, or presented in wording, and not everyone attached to Middle Africa does it that way.
Yeah,
and like the S in Summerfest must be capitalized, and the F, and you must always end it with the year, and like that's just how it must be in text.
Exactly.
But a lot of people don't do it, so I'm like,
yeah, the capitals must be in exactly the right
place. Yeah. It's got to be just so. It's part of the brand. And I find myself often when I'm typing it out, it's like Summerfest, but I think it's just you know, like your hands work almost subconsciously over the keyboard when you use something like that a lot.
Yes.
And I use a keyboard a lot.
Sure.
So it's like, and then it's like, oh, I have to retype that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, sure. Jeez, I don't even know. I think I've used all my words for the day. I even warned Pat before we started that I'm quite notorious for false starts. And I was feeling a little bit wobbly in the beginning, but now I've actually decided to relax my face and everything's looking all right. So welcome. Thank you so much for coming. So WinterFest 2018.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to look forward to for right now, because it's this will be released the week of.
Yeah.
So are you excited? Are you busy? Are you tired? What's happening?
All of the above.
Yeah, man.
Well, I think excitement comes first on the list, because I mean this is the 24th installation, the 24th event.
Times that by 2, divide by 2 is 12 years.
Yeah. So we're not quite at the 12-year milestone yet, but by the end of WinterFest next weekend or this weekend, as you know, as the wonderful listeners will have it, is it's like 12 years now. And I think the part that surprises me the most is that we're still here. Absolutely.
I mean, I can't imagine it not taking place, to be honest with you. It's so set in stone in my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy that it's happening. And I look forward to the future, because by the looks of things, I mean, I've been to the last good few. And they just keep getting better and better.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, that's part of the like natural, I suppose, evolution of something. You know, it's either going to get better or it's going to get crapper.
I mean,
you know, like things still seldom stay just the same.
Sure.
Just because.
Yeah.
You're either putting energy in to make something become more awesome than what it is, or you're allowing it just to fall into, you know, like collapse or like ruin, really. And I suppose that's the risk we actually faced. I mean, I don't know. You said you were introduced to the world of Metal for Africa and the Summerfest, Winterfest in 2014.
2015.
2015.
Yeah.
So that's the year that the Clan Libertas burnt down.
Yes.
And at the time the Clan Libertas burnt, that was our 9th year of being just at that venue. And,
oh, yes. Wow. Okay, yes.
And when the venue burned down, it was like 6 weeks before our show. So it was like, emergency. But we managed to, like, secure another venue and still get the show through. It wasn't the same Metal for Africa that everyone was expecting. But it was cool. It was good enough. It had its own sort of like cool aspects about it. But everyone was like pining for like, when's the Clan Libertas going to rebuild? Ourselves included. But the sort of silver lining that came out of the story is we were forced to sort of like get ourselves out of complacency.
Yeah.
Because, when I say things either get better or get crapper, I think we grow complacent when we get comfortable and everything's just like ticking over, becomes boring. I think the audience becomes boring. So since moving venue, we've been kind of forced to rethink how we do the festival.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
well, some people don't like change, and some people think change is as good as a is as good as a holiday.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. But I think, like, being forced into that change, most people I speak to now, maybe not last year or the year before, but most people I speak to now agree that we actually have a better festival today.
Well, I mean, I only saw I was only been to one. Fest. It was Summerfest in 2015, but I'd been to Clan Libertas before for other events and whatnot. But what I see today, the experience does seem to have more of a just a vibe about it. And
it's more festive.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, there we go. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was still a fun place. That whole outside grass area where everybody got to hang out between bands. But I think it's nice how the whole thing kind of works now. You walk through the DJ set, and then you get another set of tables, and you got the stalls as you come in. I think it's brilliant. I just think the layout's great. And then you walk through the stage, and then at the back is a bar.
Yeah.
The bar's very important.
Yeah. And it's kind of like when you walk into a supermarket and they put the like milk right in the back. It's like you're actually just there for the milk. But now you get to see everything on the way through.
Exactly. So, it's like a gauntlet. So you have to get stuck on the dance floor before you get there.
Yeah, exactly. Like get into the vibe.
Absolutely.
But I think, at the Clan Libertas, there's a lot of things that we hadn't considered even. Just because, it's like, well, when we first started the show, it wasn't called Summerfest. It was just called a showcase of African metal. That was the very first one. And we weren't thinking festival, festive. We were just thinking gig.
Yeah, sure.
So as it's evolved, during the Clan Libertas days, we didn't really have stalls. We had one merch stand, but we didn't have stalls.
Sure.
We didn't initially have a DJ outside or something like that. So each year we want to try and introduce just something a little bit different, a little bit better than the previous time, not to grow lazy or complacent.
Yeah, sure. So tell me, there's been 24 events over 12 years. Do any specific dates or events stand out to you? Well, first of all, you said the first is a South African showcase. So that was the name of it. And when did you decide to change it, or when did the body change the name and the direction and? Well, not necessarily the direction, but the name and whatnot.
Kind of part of a bigger story, really, which we're going to need many Papa G's episodes to cover.
While we're on that, I think you're probably going to be one of the people who most come back to Papa G's house. So I've got all the time in the world.
But to try and sort of compress it into a nutshell, when the Metal for Africa brand was created, there wasn't much vision for it. All that we knew at that time was that we needed some flag to fly that we could bring people together beneath and achieve things.
That was always the goal, to get everybody together.
How and what, no one knew yet.
Sure.
It's just, and the reason for the brand is like, the internet was still, it wasn't new, but at a consumer level, you know, where we all have it in our own homes,
Sure.
you know, on our devices. Well, that still only came a few years later, but you know, like the internet was kind of a new-ish thing.
Sure.
And we were like, well, we need to use this. And my flatmate at the time, he knew a thing or two about Google, and he's like, well, you got to get the right words. So I'm like, well, what about metal and Africa? Metal for Africa.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, that'll be perfect. So yeah, we had no idea what we were going to do with it. We just created it, and it's like, right, now we need to put it to work. And it started off where we would actually just print flyers. We would kind of get information about all the gigs that we knew were happening over, like in that year, which was 2006, all the gigs that we knew were happening over December, January period in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And we printed flyers with like just like a gig guide and just bombed these things everywhere. And from that, we started building, in those days, still a MySpace page.
Yeah.
MySpace was cool.
Yeah.
Facebook probably existed, but none of us were using it yet.
Sure, sure.
And
I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think I ever used MySpace, ever.
It's a dead horse now, I think, but it used to be awesome.
I just think I was one of those guys who caught on late.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So from the gig guide, like eventually we were like, I mean, it's kind of weird to think now in the technological age where we have so much access to so much stuff, just like click, 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 and it's there.
Yeah.
But back then, like, we were like eager just to discover what other metal bands were in our own city.
Sure.
We didn't have an information resource on that then. You know, it's like,
You had to go out and find it.
yeah. So we were like, but there must be a better way. And at that time, MySpace seemed to be that way because bands started putting up profiles, but we still didn't know that they were there. We didn't know how to find them.
Yeah.
So doing these gig guides and stuff, people started, you know, like networking a bit. You know, we were doing social without the media back then. So, you know, it was destined to evolve, put this brand to work.
Yeah.
You know, with the internet becoming a thing, it's like, how do we use this? You know, none of us were experts, still not really, but, you know, we have learned a lot in the interim. But, yeah, just to get back to the event, it seemed like a natural progression to say, all right, well, we've got this brand. We are aware of more bands now than we have been at any one time for like a good couple of years. Let's throw them on a stage together. And that's what we did. And so we called it a showcase of African metal. I mean, why not?
Oh, no. Yeah, exactly.
And at that time, I decided to make use of a lot of like principles and ideas which I'd had in my mind about how to do a show.
Yeah.
Like if I was doing my own gig, how would I do it? And it's like, generally it's like, well, budget wise, you know, it's going to be hard. But I took that leap of faith and put all of these ideas into action. And the most surprising part was, you know, a lot of bands don't spend much on marketing. A lot of bands and promoters don't spend much on marketing. But that was my big difference. It's like, let's throw a few thousand rands at marketing. And the turnout at that show was like beyond what we actually anticipated.
Sure.
Like we were like minds blown because we had never seen, or at least in my generation, we had never seen that many metalheads come to one place for only local and only metal. You know, we'd seen larger crowds for like, you know, bands like when, you know, like Sepultura came back in the like early 2000s. I think that had roughly just shy of 1,000 people. That was a good turnout. It was a great heavy metal experience.
Yeah.
But for local metal, we had never seen something like that before.
That's great, eh? For number one, eh?
Yeah.
Number one. Numero uno.
Yeah.
Do you remember the lineup on that one?
Yo.
Come on. Get
I can tell you some of the bands that was on it. The guys active at that time was Mind Assault, Day Turns Night, Azrael. I think Betray the Emissary might have been on that one too.
Day Turns Night is old Faraday.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Infanteria.
Okay, cool.
They were the opening band that night.
Sure.
They were like these all of them, I think, at that stage were still in school.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And yeah, like now they're still going strong today.
Brilliant.
And just watching their development over the years, playing that opening slot, and then another time, climbing that ladder to the point where, like, like we can't really have them play that show now unless we're headlining them, which kind of also plays against a band too. Because now it means fewer and further between. That's the same thing which has happened with my own band, Mind Assault. It's like, we haven't played since 2015, and before that we hadn't played since 2012. But we can't really imagine.
That's like a reunion show every couple of years.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, it's not the only gigs we would ever do.
No, sure.
But in the Summerfest, Winterfest context, so it's cool to climb that ladder and become that caliber of band. But at the same time, it's like now you got to keep the big guns.
No, absolutely.
For when it's needed.
That's another thing that bands have to fight with as well, especially in such a small community in terms of the hardcore metal. Even your rock scenes are smaller.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. You can't oversaturate and play too often.
Yeah.
You can't undersaturate. I mean, you can't underplay.
Yeah.
Because you got to create that demand. So it's always a very fine line. But
yeah, it's a balancing act, really. And
I have a very different take on it all, though, because I started so late. And I didn't start so late. I mean, I just pulled finger too late. And it's never too late as well at the same time. But I'm the type of person where you're like, hey, bro, do you want to play the show? It'll be cool.
So more like spontaneous.
Yeah. But then I've got the other guys like going, hey, bro, let's just not play too many. And you get your days where everybody wants to be playing this show. And then you get the other side of it where I will really want to play the show, or someone else will really want to play the show. And we're like, okay, we really need to focus now.
Yeah. It's like, it's strategy, really.
Absolutely.
And as an artist, you see, this is an advantage I have, which I won't say is unique. A lot of people can say the same, but I wear many beanies. I wear the beanie of, performer, artist. I wear the beanie of promoter. I wear the beanie of music journalist. So I have so many roles that I play, and I don't necessarily believe I'm the best at all of them, or either of them, or not even necessarily even one of them.
Yeah.
But I think the unique aspect of playing so many of those roles gives me a very broad view of what's going on, and that allows me to formulate strategy.
But you know what has allowed you to do that, in essence?
The love of heavy metal.
Exactly. And your time spent and your passion that that's the reason why you have that advantage. You've earned it.
Yeah. It's hard work.
I feel that way. It's hard work, and you do it for a community. You do it for the music. You do it for the people, etc., etc. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, true. I mean, look, nothing comes easy. Nothing comes for free.
Sure.
And I get the sense often that some people think it does, or they believe that it should come easy, it should come for free. But I mean, we would all like that. I mean, that's a utopian ideal, but it's not how the world works.
Yeah.
And I've often gotten criticism for being a person who would open doors of opportunity for the bands I play for. And, some people would say, oh, it's an abuse of power, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what power? I've just done more work than the average Joe to advance, not my band, to advance my personal experience of this one life that I have. So it's like, why wouldn't I want to explore this to its maximum potential?
Sure.
Why wouldn't I want to wear all those different hats
and
see which ones I'm good at and which ones I'm not so good at? I've done a few things which I'm definitely not good at, and I left them behind.
Sure, but I think the difference with your situation, and people who are listening to this will probably be like, "Oh no, Gareth, you stop kissing ass or whatever." But the real fact of the matter is that shit. Now I've just lost my train of thought. Shit. No, but the fact of there we go. I've just completely regained it. Thank God I don't look like an ass. Anyway, is that when I first met you, there was we played our second ever show, and it was at Gandalf's Raw. And we had a great show. It was fantastic. Rian came back and he said, "Yo, you guys are awesome and stuff." And we had that conversation, and then he put our name forward to you, and then you contacted us, but we physically had a meeting.
Yes.
At Nameless Pub in Somerset West, where that's a huge difference between you and a lot of other people, where you'll say, "Look, I want to put the show together," and it was Medal for Africa Summerfest 2015, and you met with us personally and you said, "Hey, this is what it's all about." You first gave us a full education on what Medal for Africa is exactly about. What it is. You actually told us what it is, what it's perceived to be, and what it's set out to achieve.
Yeah. Because those a lot of people don't always get that. But it's not their business to get that. It's their business to come and have a party.
Sure.
Which we want that to be people's business to be doing.
Sure.
But the one part where that comes back and bites me at times is that people often have the perception that, Medal for Africa is a events company. We're a promoter.
Sure.
And it's like, yes, there is an aspect of that to what we do, but we're not a company. Number one, it's like there's no legal entity that exists that runs a bank account and has capital in its name. We start every event on basically zero budget.
Sure.
There's no money in the bank.
Which technically, I don't know, which actually technically renders you out of the promoter thing as well. So you basically promoted personally from your...
yes.
I'm not saying, I'm not talking social media wise. It's Medal for Africa is you start from zero, but
the thing is, we approach each event as a new project.
Yes.
And each project needs new partners.
Sure.
Because the success or failure of that project depends on the choice of partners. If you surround yourself with lousy partners or like people who aren't committed or who don't actually understand what's expected of them as well as what they can expect of us and other stakeholders, then we're not going to get this thing over the hill, so to speak.
Sure.
So that's why I always try and, where possible and when possible, I always try and have a physical meeting, but at least a very extensive phone call.
But that's the thing I really like about you is that you're extremely thorough. I mean, there's no I've lost it again, but we've worked together. We've worked. It's no secret that we've worked together before, and that's kind of how I would want to be treated as a, as you say, a stakeholder in the situation.
Because that's pretty much exactly what it's supposed to be. Like I say, there not being a company per se, we're not in this to earn profits that's going to line someone's pocket. So that already makes people like, what? Most people I deal with don't understand that. Especially when we were out of the Klein Libertas and we now had to approach a new venue and we had to try and explain ourselves to this venue, and they were so confused. And often when I'm dealing with bands, usually on the first time I'm dealing with bands, they also tend to be so confused, and it's like, but this is not how we understand the way things work. And it's like, that's why we're unique, because we do things differently. And I believe that's been why Medal for Africa, as an event series as well as a website, still survives today. It's because we are unique, not necessarily in what we do, but more about how we go about doing it. And, you know, people have observed this and, you know, borrowed into it and tried it and you know, tried to re-engineer it, but they've not always succeeded to the same extent that like we have. I don't know why, but I'm glad that...
I think it's just perseverance and just sticking to it, because that's another thing that I've been actually fighting with myself. I mean, when I did my last episode with Josh, and just I'm not digressing, I just want to give you a similar scenario where I've done an episode where I've got some technical issues or whatever the case may be, where you feel despondent sometimes and you're like, oh, dude, I mean, is it really worth my while? Do I want to carry on doing it? How do you manage to keep doing it for 12 years straight and consistent, on the money every single time?
Yeah, that I don't know.
Well, there we go. That's brilliant. Okay, that's a perfect answer, because seriously, I don't know either.
There have been times where I'm like, do I really have to do this next event? And like some people might say, like, how could you like not want to do it? But I mean, I'll take just as an example, last year, WinterFest.
Yeah,
I was just fatigued, tired, not necessarily because of the work that goes into the event, but just life in general.
Sure.
You know, because there's a lot that goes on like behind the scenes, and sometimes it's also not just the hardships I encounter on a day-to-day basis, which you know all of us are familiar with. You know, none of us are living a freaking picnic.
Sure.
But sometimes just the my living relies a lot on me being very active on social media, and I don't mean active as in I'm posting every minute of every day, but I'm keeping my finger close to the pulse to be aware of what's going on.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, we're not an events company, we're a news website.
But that's but I was trying to allude to that when we when we were having the discussion about when we sat down at Nameless Pub and we had a discussion. It was myself and Alex, I think it was, and it was a lovely conversation as well. It was intriguing. It was informative. It was something that I was amazed by, to be honest with you, to think that it's something that everybody looks forward to twice a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man. And I'd met Carl Puller previously, who recorded our first demo of our first ever song that we ever wrote together. And he was keen to get on the whole underground music scene. I don't like calling it underground. What would you call it?
Very underground.
Okay, would you call it underground? Okay. I don't know why underground sounds so negative to me.
Dude, that is already another whole episode by itself.
Nah, come on. I've got all the time in the world. We've only done, 28 minutes.
All right. You're asking for it.
Okay, let's go.
We're going to bounce topics.
Okay, wait. I need to move closer so I can lean back. Hey, everybody, how do you like my new studio upgrades? Here we go.
So as some will already know by now, the next natural step for this endeavor, this brand that needs to be put to work, is a radio station. Or at least an online radio station, because a terrestrial radio station, that's just too much money. And once again, Middle for Africa is not a commercial venture. But just to get a community station, something like, charity based, which is effectively what our existence is. I want to call it charity because we're not dishing things out.
Sure.
But, we're doing things that are not designed for the purpose of profit.
Sure.
But this whole thing with the radio station, it is hard. And the biggest challenge with it is the fact that I want to focus specifically on, what you and I would sort of allude to as underground music, And I get why we think of that as a negative connotation, because it says it's not good enough to be more than that.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's the sort of message that's being transmitted or understood.
Yeah.
But what I've learned through this process,
where do we find it? Sorry, where do we find it? I saw.
All right. Well, look, there is a demo up now.
Okay.
But
Is it not available to the public yet? Am I jumping the gun a bit?
they can look at it now.
Okay, let's promote this.
But yeah, it's not a radio station yet.
No, sure.
It's just a demo that loops a few songs and has one little voice snippet of me
But-
at this stage.
Sure, but isn't there a subscription where people can sign up and all that kind of jazz?
Yes. However, that again, it's a different arm.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, Metal for Africa now, it's got the events arm, it's got
Yeah.
it's got the news website, it's got the coming soon,
Sure.
the FIEND FM being the radio station.
Yeah.
It
I'm just
also
trying to look it up, but I suppose it's not live yet.
no, but you can
My
find
apologies.
it if I give you the URL.
yeah, but if it's something that you want to wait till it's ready,
Let's maybe pop a link in the bottom of the
okay,
video.
we'll pop it in the
Yeah,
video,
yeah.
100%.
And
Okay,
whoever's determined enough can go and look for it.
sure. Okay,
Yeah, there's no reason why they can't go and see it yet. In fact, especially bands need to go and see it.
well, that's why I actually want to pull it up
Yeah.
so we can look at the blurb on how bands can get involved.
All right, cool. Punch in HTT. What's it? Yeah, that
HTTPS,
protocol.
Yeah.
Then just FIEND FM with no punctuation or anything. Then a full stop. Oh, it's FIE.
Oh, sorry, man. Calling me out on.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Punt.
Punt.
Metalforafrica.com.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one of the arms. Then we have the financing arm. That's where the membership comes
There
in.
we go.
And that's called the true believers. Because what are we if not true believers in our passions?
Sure, absolutely.
Being heavy metal and, and all of those things that fall under that broader umbrella.
I can find it on this site. I mean, this article, surely.
Oh, okay, so it didn't come up. Yes, yeah. So
Okay. There's a link somewhere around
I think if
here.
you scroll right down to the bottom,
Yeah.
well, there's actually the player already working.
This
but-
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
But to get to the actual site where that lives and where the information is, I think if you scroll right down to the bottom. No, I actually
Okay.
didn't put it in there yet.
I'll tell you what, I will find it as we go because you actually sent it to me on an inbox message when I wanted to sign up. So
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
So yeah, there's many arms that
Yeah.
put together. Well, this thing marches forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing about the underground matter is, I was approaching all sorts of counsel about the legality of this.
Yes.
Because one thing, some people accuse me of being a bit slow. But I prefer to say I'm thorough. I'm not
I'd
slow,
prefer to
I'm
say you
thorough.
tried do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bitch.
A lot of people are like, come on, Pat. A lot of people have a lot of faith in me to work miracles, but I can't work miracles. I can just do
I
things
believe
as
in
right as I
miracles.
know how.
Where from?
And often when there's something to be done, well, I don't know how, so I have to figure that out. And I don't want to do something that's like, a little bit too cowboy and a little bit shooting from the hip. But because at the end of the day, there's a brand at stake that has taken a long time to build that credibility. So
It's, once again, another fine line.
yeah, so I don't want to launch something that I'm calling a radio station and in a month it shuts down for whatever reasons. So anyways, following through with the authorities,
Yes.
the legalities of this, and it is complex. But the biggest problem is every avenue that I've explored down to make my inquiry, the terms to me are foreign, and the terms that I would use in sharing with you, you would find foreign. Now, I don't understand what that means, but in the music industry proper, these terms are very commonplace.
Sure.
We as an underground movement aren't familiar with them because they're not part of our day-to-day lives. So when I approached, for example, Capasso, who is they partnered with Samro. Samro is probably the better known one.
Sure.
South African Music Rights Organization. So Capasso is the body that's charged with the responsibility of licensing for online radio.
Okay.
so there's obviously an expense involved, and this recurs year on year.
Yeah.
And if you're a commercial venture, that expense is in line with what kind of revenue you take. So it's complex. But the point of that license is that royalties need to be distributed to the creators of that music.
Yeah.
But in order for those royalties to reach the artists need to be registered. And let's face it, 90% of the music we're focusing on are
not
just
registered.
not interested in that shit.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't
Is it
actually
a
be
costly
calling
exercise?
it.
Because
yes and no.
Okay. Because if it's a costly exercise, I can understand.
Yeah.
If it's not, why not just go through the trouble?
Well, I think that's the cusp of the thing right there. The trouble.
But then it's your fault.
Yeah, but this is what I want to get to, why we are underground.
Okay.
A lot of us would hate to admit it. We would hate to hear it said, but I'm going to say it.
Say it.
A lot of us are hobbyists.
Yeah, true, very
No
true.
matter how seriously we take
That's
ourselves,
extremely true,
we
yeah.
are hobbyists because we're going about something which we know is not financially feasible. We know it's not going to pay for this equipment and this house and
Sure.
the car and, for some people putting their kids through college and
Yeah.
all that kind of jazz. We know this, but we do it anyways.
Yeah, sure.
So-
and this is also expensive, but we do it anyways.
Because we want to.
Yeah, exactly.
So the point of that is...
Sorry, F&B.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not to say that you're not going to turn a few dimes.
Yeah.
But, the amount of money coming in will seldom equate to the amount of money going out.
Sure.
That makes us effectively hobbyists. The fact that we have to work day jobs to do something we love to do with our free time, what would you call that if not a hobby? So do
Too
you
true.
now want extra admin added to that? Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. I'm just trying to get to the heart of why generally we don't. Because is it worth our while? Will it make a difference? In order to get those royalties paid for all this lust that you have to go through, you need your music to really be out
see,
there.
for me,
in
it's
a
not about
big
the
way.
royalties. For me, it's not about the royalties. It's just having the option.
Yeah.
If it's a lot of trouble to go through, if it's just for royalties and all that kind of jazz, I don't know.
I think a lot of people find that it's more admin.
Isn't
than-
it just a registration process that you have to renew once a year?
Look,
A long registration process at that.
it's rather complex
Sure.
because you, as Gareth, in your band, let's start with Atlantic South.
Sure.
You don't register Atlantic South.
You register
You register as the individual.
Yeah.
So each individual has
Has
to
to
take
register.
personal responsibility for their involvement in these things.
Sure.
Which is not commonplace. I mean, most metalheads want to flip and smoke pot and drink and headbang.
Yeah, sure.
They don't want to
But
do admin and whatnot, personal admin.
Metalhead or metal musician?
Yeah, granted, metal musicians, yes. Like a lot of them, it's that's not the reason why they got involved in this. And let's face it, a lot of us want the easy path, but there's no easy path.
There's no easy
There's
path.
no easy path.
Sorry to break it
So-
to you people.
So it's actually a question of attitude why the music is underground. Because in the formal industry, a lot of people say, oh, the South African industry sucks. But if they actually did their homework on what the South African music industry is, it was ranked. Now, look, my information is going to be outdated because I
Sure.
did this homework maybe 10 years
Look,
ago.
I don't think anybody's going to hold you
Yeah.
ransom.
Granted.
Yeah.
But I did this research 10 years ago, and I think at that time we were rated the 26th largest music industry in the world. Now,
I find that hard to believe, but I can believe it.
Yeah, but look at the Afrikaans scene.
Yeah.
So there's an industry there.
Well, there's also another thing is look at country.
Yeah.
You would never expect
Yes,
country to be
yes.
the largest selling
Yeah.
genre in the world.
So we as devotees of heavy music, we don't acknowledge that there's actually a very, very well-oiled music industry operating and functioning in this country right now and has been for decades. We don't want to acknowledge that because it actually hurts us to acknowledge that because we're not part of it. We're
Yeah.
underground.
Yeah.
And unless our attitude towards ourselves as professionals changes. We're going to remain underground. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't actually have the answer to that question. I know that I'm not going to go and register with Samro any day soon. But because I've got enough admin in my life just keeping the Medal for Africa ship afloat.
No, absolutely.
So, in my personal capacity, I don't see that for that extra effort that I'm going to have to do and, keep track of, that I'm going to get enough financial reward from it to make it matter. Now, the reason there's not financial reward from it is because the music I'm making is unlikely to make radio airplay in this country.
Yeah.
And that's where the royalties come from. You get also, now with Samro, you also get performance royalties. And this is actually where a lot of South African bands, underground bands, can get a little bit of positive stuff coming their way. But then that depends on whether the venue itself that they're playing at is actually licensed to be a live music venue.
This is specifically the reason why I'm saying, is it such a mission to go through the whole process, even though you're not going to get radio play? For instance, if you're going through a list, if you say an executive or whatever the case may be, I don't care who you are, and you say you're just some random person who's looking for music, that ever really happens to, we'll go, I'll look at Samro's lists or whatever. But it's you sort of give yourself a little bit of that
authenticity,
credibility, very much in inverted commas.
Look, like I say, 90% of the people I know are not. But there is that 10% who are, I'm thumb sucking those figures. But painting with broad strokes.
I think it's 10% even pushing it.
Yeah, probably. but some do. Has it been rewarding to them?
Probably not.
Yeah, but to some maybe. But that's usually if they're active in more than just one band. You know, if you take someone like, look, I stand to correction, but I'm just going to use this name because I know this guy's very active as a professional musician. Take old Chris Thunderbolt from Borg.
Yes,
he's now,
Black Cat Bones.
Yes, Black Cat Bones. He's just landed in...
Isn't he with Valvadinia now as well?
Yes, he's right now in the Czech Republic playing...
playing slam.
Yeah. So this guy's a working musician.
Yes.
He has every reason to be registered with Samro and to take personal responsibility for his career trajectory. Whereas me who plays in Minor Salt that hasn't even played a show in who knows how many months. It's like, are we really going to care about that?
Is it really just Minor Salt?
No, I'm a bit of an addict. My name is Patrick Davidson. Addiction.
Yeah, but I've just seen something, and I'm gonna call you on it. You've just done a tour?
Yes.
Yes. I've just done a tour.
It's something
and
you
had Valdi with you.
Yeah.
I don't know who the other guys are. Please fill me in. I don't want to digress too much.
Yeah.
But I want to know Voltamato. What's going on there?
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to go and see what's happening in Botswana. It's been very close to my heart. It's a thing which, unfortunately, even though it's a neighboring state, you still require a certain amount of resource to make that trip possible, which I haven't really had at my disposal because it's been invested into other things. But as a band, now you can pool your resources and just do that experience for so much less. And that was their sales pitch to get me in. They knew I wanted this.
Okay. So they approached you and said, Pat, come, we're going to go.
Yeah. And
let's go.
And they just said Botswana, and I was like, I'm in.
Brilliant.
But all of those guys are in some shape, form, or size veterans in the scene. Carl Kochler on the vocals. He was the frontman for Day Turns Night. Ferdi from Zombies.
Wow.
Former band. And those guys achieved a lot in their time. Then Valdi, he's obviously well known from Bildenstorm.
Love that guy.
Yeah. And he's got the same sickness as you and I have. He just wants cool experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
So he's following whatever path he can to get that, same as you and I.
One of the most friendliest dudes I've ever come across in the entire in my entire existence.
Has he kissed you yet?
He has kissed me many times. And you know what? Can I be honest with you? And Valdi, I hope you're listening. No. We've kissed on the lips. On stage. He kept on, I tell you, it was a show at the Ravenel.
Yeah.
And we were all partying. And I just remember he had this, I think he had this like baby blue fuzzy beanie on.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And he was just having such a jaw. And we were playing. And he was going...
Yeah.
And he kept on doing that, and I just went, stuff it, I'm going to do it tonight.
Yeah.
And I went over and I just pecked him straight on the mouth, and everyone was like, what? It was a good time. Love you, Valdi. Yeah, exactly. I kissed a man on the lips while I was on stage, and I'm proud of it.
Marius on drums.
Yes.
He played for years for Azrael, which we also mentioned. You asked who was the first bands to play Metal for Africa.
Yes, one of them.
Showcased. Yeah, man, he was
awesome. There we go. Jogging the memory.
He also played with Ing for a time. And then the last...
Infiltrate, neutralize, and govern.
Yes. And then the last mystery man, the tall guy, Stefan from Windhoek, Namibia.
Yeah, okay.
Now, that oak has been around. He's lived all over. And he's played for a surprising number of bands, South African and Namibian.
Okay, cool.
And even a stint abroad. But anyways, he's now settled in Cape Town, and he's a compulsive person, just as we are. We want these cool things.
Sure, absolutely.
And so, yeah, we wanted Botswana. Now we've done that.
And was it one show, once off?
Yeah. Well, we played Namibia as well because Stefan's from there, so it just made sense.
But you've got another bandmate that's from Namibia, right, Francois?
Yes, from Mind Assault.
Yeah.
He's also from there.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like Namibia is
keep my
basically
tabs on you, bro.
Yeah. It's I mean, like when you go to Namibia, you don't always feel like you've left South Africa.
Sure.
I don't know if
it's just a little bit more German.
Yeah. Well, not even.
No, sure. No, I'm just playing. Yeah.
But anyways, so that's the Voltemata thing.
Okay, brilliant.
You know, a lot of people are saying, when are you going to play South Africa? And it's like, well, later.
Sure.
Later.
Just take your time. Yeah. Absolutely. Look, I think that you quite in your comfort zone, in the not in a negative way by any stretch of the imagination, but you've been going for 12 years with Mind Assault.
Longer.
Oh no! Wait, Metal for Africa.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go, calling me out again. Okay, so you've been going 12 years with Metal for Africa. How long have you been going with Mind Assault?
Since 2003.
15 years.
Yeah, we only got on stage in 2004. But if one looks to those earliest practices, it was already in 2003.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then with Terminatrix, it was 10 years. So like I tend
they're going 16 years this year.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I tend to get dug in. Like I guess that's just my personality type. It's why I don't do drugs.
Never say die. Quitters don't quit.
Yeah, it's why I don't do drugs. Because like I don't want to know where that will
personality go. To whatever you do.
Exactly.
No, for sure, absolutely.
So there's some
clearly
doors,
orange juice as well.
No, there's some doors I just prefer not to open.
Yeah, sure.
Because if I like a thing, I want to experience more of it. You know, who doesn't?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the cool thing is that you're consistent as well. You know, you get stuck into something, you follow it through. I mean, this Metal for Africa, it's 12 years. It's 12 years. It's remarkable in my eyes, to be honest with you. We played 3 years ago, February, Metal for Africa.
Was that the first one at the new venue?
No, it was
still
at Glade Lib. Yeah.
Ah, okay, cool.
So
I'm glad you got to have that experience.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was brilliant. We were very young. We were only a couple of months old. We debuted in April. We debuted in April, and then by February we played your Metal for Africa show. We had the meeting in 2014.
Yeah.
But the reason why that sticks out in my mind so much is that I went through quite a heavy experience prior to that. We had the meeting, all that jazz, and then I went and had a massive car accident on the 1st of January, and still managed to get up and play Summerfest.
Determination.
Yeah, totally. And I think this is so cool that 3 years later, I'm playing a WinterFest.
Yeah.
And this is no coincidence. I mean, this is a massive coincidence. Not no coincidence. This is a massive coincidence that I'm having you on at this time. Because 3 years ago, I played a Summerfest, and I won't lie to you, I was itching. I was champing at the bit, and I always wanted to play that card. Go, I'll wait till they come back and ask us kind of stuff. And thank you so much for having my band on this weekend. It's going to be an absolute blast. What have we got to look forward to, man?
Oh man, a lot of headbanging.
A lot of headbanging.
I mean, if we just look at the lineup, something we always pay a lot of close attention to is, it is called Metal for Africa.
Sure.
So we obviously want to keep it metal-centric. But what does metal mean? And I think a lot of people have their own interpretations of metal.
It means a hard substance.
Yeah. But a lot of people are like, no, but metal is this. No, metal should be that.
Yeah.
No, metal is da-da-da-da. It's one of those things that when you speak to someone who's passionate about metal, they're always an expert. Yet one expert differs very widely from the other. So we tried to...
And in 2018, that is a very long conversation.
Yeah. So I tried to shrug off that mantle of being the expert, because I'm not. I just love heavy music. Doesn't mean I'm an expert at it.
Sure.
And I love talking about it, and I love indulging in it.
Sure.
So we have a committee that chooses the lineup each year, and it consists of 6 people, very different people, who are not necessarily affiliated with Metal for Africa. So normally we would approach people who we just see are active in the scene, but in a way that appears to us as going a bit beyond the ordinary call of duty.
Someone like James Ferguson. He did you see the photo from him at Josh's farewell?
Yes.
The man was bleeding all over the place.
I still wanted to comment that he's like Cape Town's Lord Boo.
Yeah.
But then I saw someone already had.
No, dude. Yeah, he is an extraordinary fan. Yeah. He's always there front and center, having an absolute banger. So hey, shout out James Ferguson, you cool guy, man. I like you a lot.
Lo and behold, that day might come where an outgoing committee member, can no longer be part of that, and then we need to see, well, who do we ask to join this next?
Yeah.
And that's not my decision.
Sure.
That's a collective decision.
Yeah.
So it's a very organic thing. And I enjoy that because Metal for Africa is not assuming the role of an expert, and it takes a lot of the burden and pressure off of my shoulders. So even if you had wanted to play that card, me and Pat, we tight, you still sorry, bro. I can't actually do anything for you. I can put your name forward to the committee, but I need to sell the idea to them.
Sure.
Why you would be the best choice, and don't think that they're not going to bring their own suggestions forward and sell those to the rest of us.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's what it comes down to. It's a bit of a democracy, in that sense, but it's not a democracy in the public sense.
But I mean, it's very nice, and I think this is a nice platform for people to actually find out that it's actually a selection process. It's not like Rassie Erasmus gets to choose his perfect Springbok team. It's a committee, it's a panel.
Yeah, and I think that's what also keeps the lineups fresh, because you were asking what are we expecting for WinterFest, and I can honestly say, well, nothing you've ever seen at a Metal for Africa before.
True.
You might have seen an individual band or two, but you've never seen that kind of dynamic lineup at a Metal for Africa before. So I mean, starting off,
I met the Valley dudes.
Yeah.
I met the Valley dudes at 1FM. We had an interview with Talon Williams.
Yeah, that's right.
It was on Monday.
Yes.
And then the guitarist from Nebula.
That's right.
All such nice dudes. I'm looking forward to seeing the whole bang.
But even just those 3 bands, look at how different they are.
Yeah, totally.
The Valley, a lot of people are going to challenge and say, but are these guys even metal? Why are they on the lineup? Think of what their sound and style is, where they're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, there is a generation, and let's not try and hide the fact that a lot of older people are also attending Metal for Africa these days, more so than in the past, as well as young. So we actually have an extremely dynamic patronage.
Yeah.
So we have to keep the lineup dynamic as well. So, you know, something like the Valley, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But we've learned through, you know, having Skinflint down, having Deadline, these things with a bit more of an old school
Hey,
appeal.
Deadline was so much fun, dude.
Performers of
Yeah,
note.
nice guys. And I
they
chatted to
just
them
make-
afterwards at the meet and greet. I don't know if they can remember me, but nice dudes.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I get, it's, you know, they've got the jackets. It's like a Iron Maiden mixed Avenged Sevenfold kind of situation. I love it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Deadline. They've got Hate City as their EP, is it? I think it's
Black Wolf
Black
City.
Wolf City.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hate City. Oh, that's Joburg.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people call Joburg. Black Wolf City. So, and excuse me for getting the title wrong.
Yeah.
But you guys are cool.
Yeah.
And then so we got The Valley. Kill Frenzy is another one. I've never seen Kill Frenzy before.
They are working so hard at the moment. It's difficult to ignore them. That's why we're having them. It's like, you know, part of our sort of lineup formula, you know, each committee member is charged with the responsibility to bring a wish list forward of what they would like.
Yeah.
And there's criteria to be met. We want young, fresh, like who's shaking the tree at the moment. And for this particular event, well, Kill Frenzy seems to be those guys.
Sure.
And even since after we booked them, they're showing even more determination. Like they're heading to Botswana.
Oh,
soon.
really?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But they played a big role in getting Remuda down from Botswana to play in Cape Town a couple of weeks ago. And Norbormide from Mozambique.
I saw that they did a round of shows here as well.
So like I've been starting to wonder, it's like, did we shortchange these guys giving them the opening slot? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are they from Cape Town though?
Yes. But I mean, Kill Frenzy are just doing what a lot of guys, like, I suppose, should be doing. They're working hard.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how they're going to develop from here.
Sure.
Some might argue, and I wouldn't say I'm exempt from this argument, but some might argue that they're perhaps overplaying the local scene a bit much currently.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, when you're trying to get going, man.
Yeah, but I mean, this is about making that impression. So let them overplay. Once they realize that the audience starts dwindling, which is a natural part of a band's life cycle, then they'll ease off and then they'll become a more select thing. It's a natural part of the band's life cycle.
Sure.
So I'm very excited about Kill Frenzy. They are energy. And their vocalist is actually like different, like very different.
Awesome. Is this these dudes here, hey? Is that them?
Yes.
Okay, rad.
Yeah. So, just a cool band.
Awesome.
Then it's The Valley, which is a completely different vibe. I mean, like Kill Frenzy. Let people listen to it. I don't want to talk too much about.
No, absolutely. Hey, look, but I mean, we've got to.
I mean, this is
become
the age
aware
of
of these bands, man. It's
People
really
don't
cool.
need my opinion to know what the band's going to sound like.
Sure,
they can
but
just click play.
I'm pretty sure Kill Frenzy are going, holy shit.
Actually,
Pat's
Kill
talking
Frenzy,
about us. Awesome.
Actually, they don't have material out at this stage.
No, I was just checking out their page and the photos, and there seems to be some cool photos and whatnot. Check out Kill Frenzy. What kind of style are we talking?
Heavy.
Okay. Heavy. Check it out.
Am I allowed to fluke?
Yeah, of course.
They call themselves Boos Heavy.
Brilliant.
And I think they fit the bill. But they're not heavy in that like brutal extreme way. They're heavy more in a sort of, how do I say, like more of an attitude kind of a way, which is cool. It's different. You know,
Ooh, now you speak in my language.
Because there's a
like
big
that.
movement
the
these days. There's always a big movement. It just changes its mask a little bit from like generation to generation. But there's always that group of bands whose objective is to be extreme in terms of brutality, tempo, and all that kind of jazz. Like I think that's really where you see shining at the moment. Bands like Vulvodynia, getting people excited. Bands like Creating the God Form, and also on our lineup would be
it's amazing
the Alpha Sequence.
Yes, I just want to touch on those two guys because I see quite a similarity between the two in terms of the way they market themselves.
Yeah.
They've got their massive merch cartel or whatever the case may be, where you can order and they're on the ball.
Yeah.
And I'd love to sit down with the masterminds behind those dudes. I'd like to sit down with Chris Xenopoulos.
Yeah.
Because I want to know how these guys do it, you know.
But dude, this is the younger generation. They grew up different to the way I grew up. I mean, I don't know how far we are in age. Can't be that far.
Okay, let's do this.
Oh,
let's do this. Take a guess there, brother.
I'm gonna place you at about 1980, give or take.
Okay, 80.
Give or take.
That's very interesting, Pat.
Yeah.
I'm 84.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
right,
yeah.
Right.
I'm 34 this year, yeah.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Well, I'm 80.
Okay, so we're 4 years apart. Okay.
But yeah, like I just gathered that we were similar of age.
Yeah.
But to your credit, my fiance is the same year as you.
Yeah, man.
So that puts us in not a awkward
no
age
for
difference.
sure. Don't make it awkward, man.
Yeah. But anyways, so the point being, these guys grew up different the way we did.
Yes.
You know, we grew up where the sort of the ideology was DIY. You know, it's like we would take pride in the fact that we MacGyvered something together. I mean, if you say MacGyver something, I don't know if the
I know about
what
MacGyver, bro. Let me just get my Leatherman.
Exactly. But if you say that to like a younger generation, they'll be like,
yes,
don't get it. What are you saying? But you know, I
was more of an Airwolf kind of guy.
Yeah. So, you know, it was all about doing it ourselves, and we took pride in that.
Yeah.
Yet, at the end of the day, the ultimate product was not something really to brag about always. But we would brag about it because we did it ourselves, you know. Whereas the new generation is like, no. You want to put yourself across as a professional, where your own ability is not professional enough, get in help. Get the real guys to do it. You know, if you think of like Wolverdinia, for example, they have a very strong advantage in terms of they're able to do like their own production to quite a high standard on the musical front and the recording and tracking and all that jazz. On the visuals, they paid good money for good stuff, and put those two together and you have this potent product. And I think a lot of the other guys from that generation, they think the same way. Whereas a lot of us older generation says, no, but our music should stand for everything, blah, 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 blah. It shouldn't really matter what the album cover looks like, blah, 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 blah. But that's a whole podcast for another day.
Yeah, no,
a whole
100%.
For like another day.
Okay, well, I mean, we are going on 1 hour and 2 minutes already. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
And we haven't wrapped up one single topic.
I know, it's been blossom. I love it.
Yeah.
But it's you can't.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that we've left these topics open-ended because it allows us to pick up where we left off. But I do want to finish this discussion about WinterFest that's coming up this weekend.
Right. You wanted a summary of what can be expected. So
I mean, just I know what to expect.
Like, I think lineup speaks very much for itself.
Sure.
But in terms of the event experience, perhaps if someone who's watching this hasn't been there, we've kind of moved into the sort of branding where it's like Metal for Africa is a place for friendship and metal, but because ultimately that is what we're all about.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the culture that has developed around that event experience. It's a very social event. Now, some musicians don't like that it's designed this way, but I mean, 8 hours of live metal can be a bit much, even for the most staunch metalhead.
Sure.
So we create different spaces where people don't, you know, you're not forced that because you're at a concert, you have to just have live music. Because technically, you're not at a concert, you're at a festival.
Yeah.
We're creating a festive experience. The concert is the main highlight of that experience, but we have the merch stalls, we have the DJ area, we have obviously the bands playing, and yeah, something we're introducing this time, as well as like a nice little lounge area. Something I really no. Let's talk about what is, not what we want. So you know, it's just a really
Getting passionate.
Yeah, it's just a really
I love it.
So it's a really friendly space.
Yeah.
And we put every ounce of effort into making it that and keeping it that, which is also why we don't want it to get too commercial, too big. But because once you know, like I saw this at the Iron Maiden concert, like, you know, there's fuck off huge aeroplane coming down.
Yeah.
Everyone knew about it.
Yeah.
So it was this big talking point, and a lot of people came who were not sincere about the band's music. They were just there because there was going to be a big jaw. And we noticed there was a bit of an unpleasant element lurking around. You know, like people who don't appreciate that part of metal, which is friendship.
Sure.
They don't really appreciate the metal part either. They were just there because it's fuck off big plane and it looked cool. And, you know, like a lot of people who I spoke with afterwards were like, yeah, like, you know, some very pushy, shovey people, some oaks with big mouths and no real reason to be there except to have a big mouth. And I saw this myself when I went to the bathroom too.
Was this the last one?
Yeah, at the Grand West. So, like, in the bathroom, there's a bunch of guys and they're, you know, they're like basically saying, who's got condoms, who's got condoms? And like, it's irritating because, you know, people are in the bathroom doing their business so they can get quickly back to the concert.
Yeah.
And here's these guys clowning around.
Asking.
And someone said, like, just, you know, calm down, enjoy the concert.
Yeah.
And then they got that whole, like, oh, it's the braaf type of attitude. And it's like, we don't see that at a Metal for Africa.
No.
But it's because we keep it
worries.
intimate. We keep it about friendship and metal.
Yeah.
So that's what you can expect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's ever been a situation, and I've been to a number of the shows where it always seems very community. It always seems very friendly. I mean, you'll never brush shoulders with a guy and go and turn around and the guy will be like, hey, you know, wat maak jy, or whatever.
Oh, well, look, never say never. You know.
Well, right now I can say never because it's never happened.
Yeah. But it is an open event, and you know, what also I believe gives us a bit of credit is that we were very aware of the possibility, you know, and we have had, look, over 12 years, I've had one incident where I felt we needed our security staff, but even though we had them around us, they didn't have to actually intervene.
Sure.
We managed to resolve it ourselves, and everyone went home unhurt.
Okay.
Once in 12 years. And we're talking shows, you know, where there's about, you know,
now you got Jacques,
5.
and I don't want to mess with that guy.
But
He's a hell of a nice guy, though. I wouldn't want to mess with him, though.
We were talking 500, 600, 700 people in one place at a time with a lot of metal and beer, and yet no real problems.
Unbelievable.
So, you know, we've never needed to deploy our security people.
Sure.
But we will never become complacent and think, oh, we don't need them.
No,
because
absolutely
you never
not.
know
You can't.
what can come in off the street.
Absolutely.
And cause trouble.
Yeah.
So friendship and metal.
For sure.
That's our
vibe.
vibe.
Oh, man. It just sounds so good, and it's so close. It's just around the corner. I can feel it.
Yeah.
There's food stalls. There's merch stores. There's jewelry stores. There's clothes. There's
even a freaking shaman.
There's even a freaking
So if you
shaman.
want some stuff to cleanse your,
Yeah, there
you
you
know,
go.
like, I mean, some people might argue that's not very metal, but it's like, we think that's metal. It's
Yeah.
cool. It's open-minded. It's it's not to say that we denounce anything or pronounce anything. It's just like, there's a guy selling cool stuff that we know some metalheads want.
Just expect a good time. High energy, because it is high energy. People are running around going, oh my God, that was so amazing.
Wall of death.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be lots of that this year. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Great lineup. It's the Valley, Kill Frenzy, Alpha Sequence. Then we got Red Helen coming from Joburg.
That's right, yeah.
Fantastic bunch of dudes. I've hosted them here before. Hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
So if you guys get to the meet and greet, which is something that is, I actually felt it's so necessary to mention that on 1FM the other day.
Yeah. Look, that's an interesting challenge because it's so new to the South African scene that we have a meet and greet for our own artists. Some people say, like, but do you need that? And, you know, it's a good question. Do we need it? But what we have noticed is that some people, some members of the audience are shy.
Sure.
And that meet and greet is the one place where they actually feel it's safe to make an approach.
Sure.
It's reasonable to make an approach. So like we thought about that aspect, and that's why we do it.
It also kind of makes it appropriate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you got to, I mean, hey, none of us are celebrities.
Yeah.
None of us are better than anybody else. We're all local performing bands, but it makes it, it gives it more of an official appropriateness.
Yeah, it says, here's a time and place where if you know, because something else that's hard, you know, and a lot of the members of the public sometimes get a bit like, not upset, but they feel a bit like, you know, the wind is out of their sails when they can't get a picture of the whole band with themselves. So by having that meet and greet, it just says, look, if you want that opportunity, there is an appointed time and place for it.
Exactly.
And a little bit more of a practical element to that is we need swift changeovers on our stage.
Yes.
And we have had in the past where fans try and get the band on the stage for a photo. And it's like, I'm sorry guys, we don't have time for this.
Sure, absolutely.
And then the band starts feeling a bit swak as well. It's like, yeah, but that was our chance, you know, but that fan. So we like to think that the meet and greet is a bit of a win-win for everyone involved.
Sure, absolutely.
It's a bit of a chore. Some of the bands are like, do I really have to do this now?
Well,
it's
then
like, well, you don't have to, but it would be nice if you did.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when you're all sweaty and stuff. I enjoyed it. Like Ill System at Summerfest did a great meet and greet. We had such a joy because, I mean, even if it's 2 or 3 people coming up, you're still meeting people. They're still having a conversation about the show with you. I don't know. I'm just that type of person. I started a podcast for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
So I'm just that type of dude. Some people might not dig it. If you're not into that kind of thing, please, I encourage you to do it because it goes a hell of a long way to a lot of people. Some it may not.
And I think it's just a cool feature.
Absolutely.
And like I said, like it's new. So, you know, some of the bands are like, oh, but only 2 or 3 people came. But that was quite an inconvenience to us because our gear is now sitting backstage, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, don't worry, we have staff looking after that.
Absolutely.
That stuff. Just come and enjoy your fans and let your fans enjoy you.
Sure.
But yeah, you know, we'll see where it goes in the
100%.
future. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, other bands on the lineup, yes, Red Helen from Joburg,
Helen,
as you say, a nice progressive melodic like metal.
Have you those vocal harmonies, man? They get me every time. If you guys want to check out Red Helen in this week, just before they brace our beautiful stage at M for Africa, not our Metal for Africa's. Yeah, it's
Friendship
it's a
metal,
community, Metal for Africa. Check out their debut album, Trading Past for Pathways. You will not be disappointed. My personal favorite is track 8, and it is called Home, and it will make you cry because it is that beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you've got Nebula Disrupt.
Yes.
Straight after Red Helen, which is like going
black metal.
Yeah, it's like,
and like these guys are black metal in the very like sort of upfront, in your face kind of a way.
Yes.
And I enjoy them a lot because in a way they're also kind of ironic. Like black metal always has such a grim demeanor, and when you see them come on stage, they look grim as fuck. But when they start playing, but you see some of these oaks smiling from ear to
exactly.
So you know, like one has to take these things with a pinch of salt.
Sure, absolutely.
But yeah, so
but they bring great theatrics into the fold. So
you need that.
You know what? You got to give kudos to them for going through all that effort, because you know what, that stuff can't be cheap either.
No.
They put a lot of effort.
It's a bit of showmanship too. Like,
absolutely.
You know, to present something that's just a little bit out of the ordinary.
Precisely.
Then there's Atlantic South.
Oh yes, yeah. We won't go too much into that. Yeah. Just we'll see you there.
And
but I don't want to do any
shameless
self promotion.
Surdus, also from Joburg. Yes. Now they bring like a bit of a darker element again. Not that Nebula Disrupt hasn't. Sure. But like a very different end of the spectrum. They're not so much about extreme as they are about groove, which is what I love about Surdus. It's like very groove oriented.
Once again, speaking my language.
But dark to the extent that it's almost bordering on like, how would I say, like gothic appeal. But they're not a goth band. But they border on that appeal.
Yes.
So definitely bringing a different spin to the show. You know, something that we don't have often, but we do try and have here and there. And then I've left
War Insane.
out the War Insane. Yeah. Now they have been around for. They might have even played that first Medal for Africa. I can't say for sure that they did. Things become a bit fuzzy, but they've been around a long time and they've been mighty in their years. But they sort of went on a bit of a hiatus when the previous vocalist Wallace Warner relocated, I think, to New Zealand. But then old Audrey Jordan.
Audrey Jordan.
Oh, I like that guy. Nice. So him on the vocals, yeah, it brings a whole new, it's bringing two excellent worlds together. Like
fantastic.
Something, you know, because it's also the War Insane having such a, can I say, like a legacy with the members who started that. Then you've got this young blood, this fresh energy.
Yes.
So to me, I really see it as two beautiful universes colliding in one death metal extravaganza.
Excellent, man. Well, I'm looking forward to it for sure. And is that it?
I think we've
Let's
touched on.
Is that
everybody.
it? Red Helen, War Insane, Surdus, The Valley, Atlantic Sulkill, Frenzy, Alpha Sequence, and Nebula Disrupt.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have WinterFest 2018 on 28th of July. This coming Saturday. It's going to be amazing. I say this coming Saturday because we're releasing it on next week. We're releasing it on next week because we don't know when. But
we're releasing it right now.
Yeah, we're releasing it today. But hopefully by Monday, people. If it's not here by Monday, you can wrap me on the knuckles. Yeah. But I think Mr. Davidson, I think we're gonna have to wrap this up, my friend.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll be here forever.
Absolutely. But then because we like we said earlier, we really didn't cap off on a lot of those conversations.
We didn't even touch on the one thing you wanted to speak about.
Exactly.
We haven't even touched on it.
But that's absolutely fine. Yeah. I'm very comfortable with that. I think, it's going to be so funny looking at the beginning of this video where I was still a little bit jittery and nervous. And I haven't done this in a while since I lost my confidence in the last technical difficulties. Everything seems to have gone great. Although we can't end just like that. We have to do this episode's Papa G's pick, and I've got two picks that I'm gonna end off with tonight. You wanted to say something? What were you gonna say?
I was just like, ooh, I wonder what they are.
So my Papa G's pick this week. Are you into comedy?
Somewhat. Yeah.
Somewhat. Yeah. Okay. In specifically stand-up comedy.
Some.
Okay.
Not
obviously
amounts, but yeah, like I do enjoy musical comedy.
Okay, brilliant.
A lot, but music, comedy,
sure,
two awesome things together.
Exactly. Yeah. So my Papa G's pick is going to be a little different in terms of entertainment. Everybody, please take note. Look up and get into this guy named Theo Von. Theo Von. He's a southerner from Louisiana. And he's got this deep southern accent. He's extremely funny. His material is just ridiculous. He's got a special on Netflix called No Offense, I think it's called. And then he's also got a podcast called This Past Weekend. Seriously, he's one of my inspirations, like in terms of the podcasting realm. Is extremely funny and his stand-up is ridiculous. So that's my one Papa G's pick. And the second Papa G's pick this week this episode, I got to get used to that, man. This week, this episode, this month, next week, today, tomorrow, who gives a shit? I'm going to give this to Facing the Gallows.
Oh, nice.
Because our good friend, Bryan... I say good friend. I don't really know him well, but they feel like good friends because
they're familiar to us.
Yeah, exactly.
We keep them close here because we share. We think we share a lot of their time with us, but it's actually just us leeching off of what
he'll probably just remember me as the guy who put them up. The one because remember they played our first ever EP launch with us. They came, they flew down, and they stayed here. And he'll probably just remember me as the guy who headbutted the wine glass. I was headbanging to music, and I managed to headbutt a little bit too low, and I smashed a wine glass with my forehead. Yeah, and then my mate Matt passed out, and we put a beer can on his head, and then exactly 2 years later, he was sitting in the exact same chair, in the exact same clothes.
Oh, really?
Just a different cap.
Yeah.
And he passed out, and we managed to put. I'm going to put that on at the end of the video. I'm going to put that picture up of my mate Matt. So facing the Gallows, I'm going to play Doom 2. Play after Doom 2. I caught up with them. Obviously, they gave me the permission to play the track. So we wish Bryan Binneman all the best, even though he hates Parkway Drive. That's also something we didn't touch on today.
Yeah.
But I'll get you, because I saw you posted a status saying Parkway Drive is owning your world. Yeah. You don't want to do that to your reputation.
No. I love it.
Joking.
I love it.
So good luck, Bryan, with all your endeavors. It seems like you got a lot on your plate. Good things though, work and marriage and house and all that jazz. It was a very cool video to watch. I wish the rest of the Gallows guys all the best in their auditioning process. I have no doubt that they're going to come back swinging, or just stay swinging.
Yeah.
And so this is Doom 2 by Facing the Gallows off their latest album, Dead Mindset, which is an absolute fucking banger. And I'm Papa G. This is Paprika Davidson.
Papa G, Paddy McD.
Papa G, Paddy McD. Yeah, I'm G, and that's Pat. We're out.
Cheers.